Hey everyone, this is Local A-List, Tulsa's premier podcast, where we're going to be interviewing top performers here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm Stephen Morales.
And I'm James Pesh.
And enjoy the show. Do we want to say anything else?
I think that's it.
Hey everyone, Stephen Morales here. Welcome to this mini-sode for Local A-List. And James, unfortunately, will not be joining me today. He had hernia repair surgery this past Tuesday, and so he's kind of still recovering from that. So wish him all the best. He is doing much better, so it's great that he got it handled because he was in pain. He was in a lot of pain there for a while. We just didn't really talk about it on the podcast. But we'll actually try and cover that next time we have him on. So today I'm just doing this by myself, and what I actually wanted to talk about was creating content, and more specifically creating a book, because I've done that, and I know we've talked about that on the show before, but I made a kid's book called Color Me Zombied. It's basically been a childhood dream of mine to make a book. I wanted to actually be a child author, and I remember being in preschool and being asked what I wanted to be when I grow up, and that's what I kept telling everybody. I was going to be a children's author. So it's awesome that I actually got to do that. It took me 2 years. I had the initial concept, and then I couldn't quite give all of my attention to it. So I'd start working on it a little bit, and then I'd kind of let it go into the background. I'd shelf it for a little bit, and then I'd bring it out again. Finally, I got it done, and it's been out for about 2 years now. And you can actually find this on Amazon. It's registered, Amazon.com. You can find it, and I'll make sure that the links are in the show notes. Barnes & Noble, all the Walmart has it. All those places have it online. And I've kind of been pushing to get it in a lot of local places here in town now. Decapolis, actually downtown has that. We had those guys on the show. So we have it in Decapolis, the Phoenix. I have it in the Barnes & Noble in town. And I'm slowly trying to branch out with a couple other people. But I just want to cover the process of doing this. Now, initially, I went with a company. I didn't know what I was doing. Just started looking online, seeing kind of self-publishing services that were out there. And essentially, there's just a whole bunch of different options. But I ended up going with Ex Libris, and that's Xlibris, like Ex Libris. And found them online. They seemed like a good company, and they were actually having a sale. Had somebody contact me, and then just kind of started the process because it was a 50% off sale. And then through this process, I learned that essentially this is how a lot of people or a lot of companies can make money, is just by kind of publishing these, because they're going to get their end. They're going to upcharge, even though they're saying it's 50% off. It's still an upcharge. And it's a win-win for them, because if you sell books, they make money off that, but you also have to pay for their services. Now, I basically went with like a medium-sized package, right? It was just their standard package. And it was basically $1,800. That was 50% off. $1,800 for that. And that comes with like having them help you edit the book and all that other stuff, kind of get it set up. And then I had another payment of $680, and a portion of that was actually for their marketing package, which was a waste of money. With this, it was hard because I'm dealing with these individuals, and right off the bat, I noticed that they were all in India. So, I mean, you could just pick up on the accent, which nothing against that, but I had a hard time understanding some of them. And I also noticed that there was a huge turnover in the company. Like, I was getting reassigned a lot to different people to help me publish the book. So all of a sudden they're like, well, now you have to go to so-and-so, and you're going to be dealing with them exclusively. And I would deal with them for a couple weeks, and then I'd get moved to the next person. So didn't like that at all. And like I said, the whole package to do this. And then I fought with them on wording and the font, the size of the font. We would go back and forth on that. It was just, I know publishing anything is going to be a process, but I kind of have a very specific vision. I actually had a finished product. So I sent them everything, and it still took us, I think, 4 months to publish this. And then I got charged for the books and the Books I bought 50, cost $565, $566 basically. I also got charged for the sample book that they sent me. Didn't like that. And kind of the pitfalls along the way of if they sent me something that needed to be reworked, I would have to sit there and set aside time and do all of that. And like I said, you're going to have to do that anyways. But it just kind of felt like a lot of the stuff that I was expecting them to help me with ended up ultimately being on me. So I kind of upset that I'm paying them all this money, and a lot of things that I thought were going to be going with that process weren't actually happening. A lot of the edits and stuff like that. I wouldn't recommend doing this, and that's why we wanted to talk about it today, or I wanted to talk about it today, is that just in case anybody else wants to self-publish something so you don't go through this process again. Now, this time around, kind of switching gears, we're actually doing a follow-up, and I wrote the previous book, the first book. I wrote the script for that, and then I did all of the art for it, and then I just had to wait on Ex Libris to get a lot of the editing stuff done, and kind of if they sent me stuff that I had to change, then I'd have to work on that. It is hard doing everything by yourself, and this time around, I've paired up with my best friend Isaac, who's just a far better writer than me. He actually helped me edit the first book, and I would send him stuff, and he'd be like, yeah, and he would help me with some of the wording and just making sure that I'm not messing up, and I need to put I'm horrible with commas, so making sure I have commas where I need them and punctuation where I need it and stuff like that. So anyways, a far better writer than me, and paired with him, I had the idea for the second book. I actually was in the beginning stages of writing it. I actually, as far as my process, I write out a bullet, and I actually got this from the South Park guys. So I write out kind of the overall bubble of what the story is supposed to be. And from there, I'll actually then do bullet points. So like the first line, where do we start? Bullet point. What's the next bullet point? So it's kind of a and then. So this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and I kind of do it that way. I wrote out all the bullet points for the next script and then the next book, and then sent that over to him, and we kind of spent a couple weeks just talking about it. I asked him if he wanted to be a part of it. He was game to do it, told him the idea, and he's doing a phenomenal job with this book. I mean, the new one, he's just taken it to that next level, and it's going to be an amazing book. I'm so excited that I get to actually do this second book, but I get to kind of bounce ideas off somebody else, where previously it was just myself. So he's kind of taken that, and we've expanded upon the initial idea. He's taken it to all these different areas that I didn't even think of. And with that, it's just a better book. And so once we started doing that, then the next question was, what are we going to do for the art? Because the first book, I did all the art, but that takes a long time. The way I did the art too is I would actually just sketch it on a white sheet of paper. I would scan it into my computer, and then I would basically do filters in Photoshop to kind of layer on different looks that I wanted. And I would have to tweak it a whole bunch, and then I'd finally get the look that I would want. And it's quite the process. So this time around, we started looking at various artists that we might approach to do it. I initially started hitting up some people that I found on Instagram. A lot of them ultimately ended up saying they didn't have the time to do it, but it sounded like a cool project. Hit a whole bunch of people up that I never heard back from, and then I started to take on the art. I got a Wacom tablet. Essentially, it allows me to draw in Photoshop. So instead of drawing on a piece of paper and then scanning it, I directly draw into Photoshop itself. That is a learning curve, because you're not drawing directly on the screen. It's not like that. It's literally a little bit of it's a tablet thing that you put on the side. And I don't mean tablet like it has a screen on it. It's just all black. And then it comes with a DigiPen, a digital pen, and you place that on there, and whatever you do on this little pad shows up on Photoshop. So started doing that, messing with that, but there's a learning curve to it. So I'm sitting there, it's like, I can do this, but it is extremely time consuming, because I went to the Art Institute of Seattle for just 2 quarters. Prior to that, my degree was actually in graphic design. I mean, I've been drawing since I was a little kid, and once I started getting into the health and nutrition field, I mean, that kind of got put on the back burner. And so every now and then I do come back to it, and I have been lately. But if you're not doing it constantly, just like working out, I mean, you're rusty. I mean, it takes time. You got to practice. So I'm doing that, and then I finally still kind of looking on Instagram to see what might be out there as far as artists. So that was literally going on Instagram and just looking for the hashtag Tulsa artist, running through that. Didn't find anybody. I mean, found one guy, but he turned us down. And then started doing hashtag Denver artist. Found one guy. He was too busy for it. Started looking through there because Isaac actually lives in close to Denver. So that was basically somebody we could communicate with, that we could meet up with versus just trying to do it. Because initially, if I can backtrack real quick, I sent, it was a referral from a client of mine, his graphic design guy that's in Ireland. And really, really good artist, but it cost me $240 just to do the mock-ups. And it was 2 pages of it, and they looked really, really good, but I also knew that I was going to have kind of coach him through the look and the style. And he has a very, very definitive style that's his style. So it was ultimately going to be too expensive. You're looking at $3,000 to $5,000 to have somebody draw these for you. So finally, just by chance, I'm going on there on Instagram again, and I'm looking through the Tulsa artist. And in my feed, I liked, it was like a Tulsa art page or something like that. And a picture popped up, and he had tagged 2 people in it. And it was kind of like graffiti type stuff. So I clicked on one of them. Guy's name is Zach Raw. And I click on that, and I mean, he's a phenomenal artist. This guy's style is all over the place. And that's what I needed. I mean, that's what I was really ultimately looking for, is somebody who's adaptable. He's already done a handful of kids' books, and he has the ability to kind of go from kid style to realistic to anime style, and he has that ability to kind of, if I give him, and I ended up sending them some stuff that I was like, can you go off this look? He can adapt to that. So that was super important, and it's just been a phenomenal fit with Zach. Met up with him, did the pricing, and 25 pages, $1,600, and then I get to pay him monthly, where the other guys wanted all their money up front. And I mean, if you're out there trying to self-publish, that's a hard thing to do. If you can't just have that lump sum of money, you have to kind of pay it off in little chunks, because it's just not quite plausible to have that sitting around. So I get to pay him in small chunks, and he's been sending me the character designs, which he's doing for free, just so that he's actually paying for I'm paying him for the pages, but the character design is free, which is phenomenal. All the other guys wanted loads of money to do that. And it's just like training. I mean, we give out free trial sessions to make sure that you like us as a trainer and it feels like a good fit and our style is going to work for you. So it's the same thing. So anyways, this time around, collaborating with these 2 guys has been a phenomenal experience. It takes a lot of stress off of my back, and that's something I would recommend. If you have people that you can collaborate with, it makes things a lot easier instead of just trying to take on everything yourself. Plus, you get to bounce ideas off people. Me and Isaac bounce ideas off each other. I send stuff to Zach, and I want his input on it too. If something's not going to work, I mean, I want him to tell me, like, that's just not going to work, or it's going to look bad. That way we don't get to the final product and I'm like, dude, why didn't you say something like that style or whatever it is, or that picture looks awful there. So this time around, though, kind of switching gears from that, we are looking at publishing with Amazon. It's called createspace.com. Now with this, you set up kind of like an account. It doesn't cost you anything, but you set this account up, and then through there, they have links to help you register for your ISBN number. So you actually have that, so you can actually sell in stores and stuff like that. Now, this other company, Ex Libris, did that for me. They handled all of that, which was the nice part of the service. So with CreateSpace, they actually have links to help you do that also. The price itself is much cheaper. So when you're going to publish something, you got to get that ISBN number. that's going to, like I said, let you sell with other companies. When you go through this create space with Amazon, obviously you're going to be linked in to sell for Amazon. But they also, for free, allow you to get set up so you can sell through other vendors. So you can sell through Barnes & Nobles, you can sell through Walmart, all these other online bookstores. Because the more you can actually get kind of your book in these different places, I mean, it's kind of like that shotgun approach. There's just more options for you to sell. Now, with this, I ran initial numbers. Right now, my first book sells for $20, and it's essentially about $10 to $12 is what I pay for each book. Writing over this next one, and we're looking anywhere from 30 to 40, maybe even 50 pages. But if I order, so I ordered 50 books that first time, right? $566. Based off a 5x8 book, 30 to 40 pages, color, 50 books, they're only $3.65 each. So the 50 books only cost me about $182.50, and it's $23 to ship. So about $205, $206. That's a huge difference between Ex Libris and what they were charging me and what I can do through Amazon. So definitely going that route. I mean, they're a bigger store. Ex Libris, essentially the stuff where I sell the most is through Amazon anyways. So being linked up with them is going to be a much better fit. Plus, like I said, when we start running through these numbers, I need to keep the price down, because right now I have to sell it for $20. At $3.65 each, when I sell these, I can sell these more for a $15 range and still be making the same amount of profit, even a little bit more. Because if I keep the price down, obviously more people are going to be willing to buy it. I will say that here in Tulsa, the response has been phenomenal. I mean, I post on Facebook, and I want all these other people want to buy the book, and then they send me pictures of their kids reading the books and stuff like that. It's just been phenomenal to watch. So if you do want to publish a book, that's my recommendation. Look at Amazon. I know there are a ton of other options out there, but when you look at paying for certain services, that's definitely what I learned from the Ex Libris experience. When the price is super high like that and they're selling you essentially a package deal, and they do give you, I mean, I got bookmarks and posters and stuff like that, but it just wasn't worth the $2,500 that I ended up paying. Plus, I paid for the advertisement that had zero net return. I made nothing off that $500. They said that they're going to promote it and they're going to do all these things for you, and I had zero return on that. I made no money off of that. Amazon has a $250 package that is more transparent. Ex Libris just said that they were going to make sure that they would get on news stations and stuff like that, but they send you this PDF that shows that they sent it to these news stations and these newspapers and these online places that review books, but those places get bombarded with that stuff all the time. So with Amazon, it's actually more kind of digital marketing stuff that they're doing. They're more transparent with what they're actually doing. It's only $250, and I don't have to do it. So most likely I won't. Social media plays a huge role in doing all of this also on Instagram and all that other stuff. And the fact that I have these two other guys too that I'm collaborating with that will promote it also. I mean, it's going to benefit Zach promoting it. It's going to benefit Isaac promoting this also because their name is on this. So going to kind of finish with that. If you guys have any questions or anything like that too on the whole publishing experience, definitely hit me up. And you can just do that via Facebook or Instagram or anything like that, because I'd love to answer any of your questions. Decapolis, and I just realized I just missed it. I think this previous Saturday they actually had, so yesterday they had a kind of meet and greet with authors, and they did a huge deal on self-publishing also. So there are outlets out there. I mean, Decapolis, I would say, is a resource because he's selling local author stuff. So you can actually go down there and you can network with a lot of people. So that is a resource for you. Also, I'll put a link in the show notes for Decapolis. But yeah, if you have any questions or anything like that, definitely hit me up. I'd love to help. Look for the book we are aiming. So the next book we are aiming, and it's actually a continuation. So it's the second book. So the first one is Color Me Zombied. The second book is actually going to be a follow-up to that. But like I said, the story is phenomenal. These guys are doing, I mean, Isaac did an amazing job, and Zach's just crushing it with the art. It looks amazing. Super excited to bring this to you guys. We're aiming for May, maybe June for publishing, just because I got to slowly pay Zach off for the art. If we can get it out sooner, definitely want to do that. And then once it's out there, we're going to probably do another podcast on it and just blast it all out there. So thank you guys so much for listening to this. Hope it helped. Like I said, if you have any questions, hit me up. And until next time, we'll catch you later. We want to thank you for listening to this episode of Local A-List.
And as always, we want to thank our guests for stopping by and sharing their time with us. Hey guys, if you enjoyed what you heard, please go to iTunes and leave us a rating or a review. This really helps us out. And as always, we are looking for sponsors, preferably locally, but we will accept national sponsors as well. Contact us through localalist.com. And you can check us out at facebook.com/localalist. My personal website is jamespesh.com.
And mine is Stephen Morales, CPT.com. Check back with us next week for another episode.